I had COVID in July, and I recently had my annual appointment with my neurologist. And I also had a little bit of surgery. I have updates to share. Hello, my dear friends, and welcome. If you're new to my channel, a special welcome to you. On my channel, I share my thoughts about living well with chronic illness. This does not mean that my thoughts will necessarily agree with your thoughts. And it also does not mean that my thoughts are medical advice. It just means that I'm thoughtful. So, how am I doing? I'm doing okay. Not terrible. Not every day can be sunshine and rainbows. Let's start with COVID, shall we? I caught COVID back in July, and you can see my video about that in the link above and in the description below. It turns out that I now have long COVID, or post-COVID syndrome, or post-viral syndrome. It goes by a lot of names. There are a lot of symptoms that can be associated with long COVID, like fever and fatigue and difficulty breathing and cough, heart palpitations, headaches, sleep disorders, sleep problems, and more. For me, I had a cough that lingered for about a month, and I have fatigue and cog fog. The fatigue and cog fog are increased from my baseline MS fatigue and cog fog. Almost every day between 4 and 5, I run out of energy. I have zero energy left, and I can't really think. So I hit the couch until bedtime. It's sometimes referred to as post-exertional malaise, symptoms that get worse after day-to-day or work activities. It makes me chuckle to think of the word malaise. It makes me think of those paintings of ladies who are draped over couches. I know exactly how they feel. There are also some preliminary studies showing that the Epstein-Barr virus is being reactivated by COVID in some patients. In this report from March, they found that a high proportion of COVID-19 patients had Epstein-Barr reactivation that may be associated with an increased risk of death. Now, this evidence gives me pause for thought, because we now know that Epstein-Barr virus is causally related to MS. I'm definitely going to be watching this research in the future. I also discovered that my cholesterol and my sugar numbers are up, and I'm not sure if this is related to COVID. I met with my doctors and we talked about it, and they think that possibly the steroids that I was on steroids twice for COVID and once for eye surgery. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you about the eye surgery yet. I have a freckle in my eye, and they've been watching it for about 12 years, and it started to change, so I had to have a biopsy. Yeah, it wasn't fun. I had to be awake during the surgery, but luckily it was only about 15 minutes and the freckle is fine, so I am okay. Anyway, being on multiple rounds of steroids can affect your cholesterol and your sugar numbers, so they're going to check me again in another 6 months or so. I do feel like overall my COVID symptoms are getting better. Each week is a little bit better, and I show some slight improvements. So I'm optimistic that I'll get over my malaise at some point. Another really interesting thing that happened about a month ago is my hearing all of a sudden got better, like really better. It's my new superpower. I can hear everything. I can hear the buzz of the light bulb on the end table. I can hear the power cycling on and off on the stove. I can hear the DVD spinning in the DVD player. Yes, I'm that old. And I can hear every bird, every bug, and every leaf rustling. The doctors think it may have been that I was congested and Sometime in the last month or so, the congestion finally lifted and now I can hear normal again. But I wasn't aware of what I was missing, and now I can hear everything. It's fascinating. It has been reported that from 1 in 5 to 1 in 13 adults in the US have long COVID. Yeah, it's crazy, and we're not done with it yet. I am filming this in October of 2022, and where I live, the infection rates are hovering between 9 and 10%, and approximately 400 Americans a month are still dying of COVID. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot more than the flu. So I ask you, please consider getting vaccinated. Wash your hands, wear your mask where you're required and requested to, and just be aware that there are people out there with wonky immune systems or who are on immunosuppressive drugs for MS or for other reasons. And we are at more risk. So please use care. Okay, on to my annual MS appointment. I had my MRIs last week, and you can check the link above and in the description below to see how that went and how I dealt with my MRI anxiety. But I met with my neurologist for my annual neurological exam, and good news, my MS is stable. I talked with my doctor about the long COVID symptoms, and she really does think that the symptoms I'm having are associated with the COVID and not worsening of my MS. But still, she's going to have a follow-up appointment with me in 6 months just to check it out. I also asked to see a urologist. I am having increased urgency to pee. If any of you can relate, leave me a comment below. It's probably just menopause related, but I wanted to get it checked out and see what they recommend. If you're interested in a video on that topic, let me know below and I'll do a video if you're interested in that. It's an interesting time for me medically. When I have symptoms now, I wonder, is it MS? Is it menopause? Is it long COVID? Hard to tell. I have symptoms every day, but they're very manageable, and I'm living pretty well with my chronic illness and menopause and long COVID. In addition to my medications, I eat a whole food plant-based diet. I exercise regularly. I try to get good sleep, and I practice kindness. I believe all of these things help me to live well. The question of the day is, what do you do to live well with your chronic illness? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate you being here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, the like icon under the video. And if you're not subscribed yet, why not? Go ahead and hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Until next time, be well.